Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my show, The Superficial Spirit. Today, we are back not to regular scheduled programming, but we've been talking about aliens for 3 weeks, and now we are back to the O files. So, for those of you who have been waiting for the next episode, welcome. We're here. As you know, the Odyssey was a very special and very chaotic little universe that somehow shaped a lot of us, especially me, into the people we are. We carry it with us wherever we go. And I've been really eager to take a trip down memory lane. So this is another one of those episodes. And today I am joined by the second person who's been on the O Files that I personally remember and was a bar manager there during my most formative, slightly feral years. Since then, he's been working as an artist, creating large scale murals while also keeping a sense of local history alive through his Nostalgia Tea project, which is t-shirts with like old businesses from the Sunshine Coast that are no longer in business, which is a really cool idea. And full circle moment, stepping into drag, not for the first time, but like kind of for the first time, because Sigourney Beaver was a persona that made their debut at the Odyssey and is now coming back like what, 20 years later. So Nick Opp, welcome to
Hi.
the show, honey.
Hi.
Yay, how are
I'm
you?
so excited to be here. It's so nice to see you.
Thank you for like agreeing to do this so quickly. Cause I
Yeah.
mean, when I found you on Facebook, I think the last time we messaged was like at least 10 years
Oh
ago.
my God, so long ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate you hopping on. And before we dive into the Odyssey, I just want everybody to know that Nick sent me a link to his new song. Um, so, first of all, are we calling it your new song, or do you have like a persona that this is coming from?
Yeah. So I've been doing amateur music production for a little bit. I mean, I grew up very, very musically, which I mean is I started playing piano when I was 4 and was like kind of a piano prodigy of sorts.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I kind of grew up with music and music in my brain. I've been doing production for a while and have gone under the name, which is a very inside joke, but DJ Paycheck to Paycheck.
That's relatable.
And so I linked it in the YouTube, but basically I'm going under Sticky and Screaming Productions.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Love it. So for everybody who doesn't know, obviously you haven't listened to the song. I can link it when the episode comes out.
that'd be great.
Is it called Brenda or
It,
not Brenda?
yeah, it's called Brenda You Menace. Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you talk to me about the song, how you made it, and then I'll have some questions about that
Yeah,
afterwards.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been fascinated by AI music, and I know that people are very, very polarized by it, obviously. I mean, I can get into the reasons that I'm fascinated about it, but I'm a big tech guy. One of my projects during COVID was kind of learning to code Python and all that nerdy. I became such a nerd during COVID. And so with that tech aspect and my music background, I thought it was like a really interesting arena to explore. So I mean, there's many things to generate AI music. Obviously, there's a couple online, and I've been running a couple locally. But I decided to start experimenting with it and feed it really obscure prompts like about being gay and just like the most hilarious things just to see how far I could push it pretty much. And so I started creating this AI album that'll be out soon, no date, but yeah, just to
It
kind of envelop that like gay world and something so obscure and something so silly, that it couldn't be confused for. I mean, I think the production's good, but I really wanted to do something that was a little bit on the silly side that somebody would be like, did somebody actually record that? Is that AI?
yeah,
Kind of thing, but
yeah.
still be honest about the fact that it's AI music.
I've seen a lot of posts recently where people have been finding new music, loving it, and then finding out that it's AI.
Yeah.
And similar to you, like, I mean, my inspirations have never been like, highbrow art. I'm
Right.
into Club Kids,
Yeah.
famous for being famous. Britney, I was always okay with the manufactured part of music.
Yes.
And I think in some ways, AI, not that music has been AI for a long time, but there's a lot of similarities between manufactured pop music and what AI is. The difference is
100%.
people are being able to create it themselves. So with the song that you sent me, I like it. It's good. Like the lyrics are so funny, and I feel like if this came out and I didn't know it was AI, I mean, it would probably show up in my algorithm. I would probably save it.
Sure.
And I'm okay with that. Like I personally don't have a problem with it. I also have not been a traditional musician. Like I was always a lyricist. I do now know how to write like basic music on
Yeah.
a keyboard and then take it to a producer. What I've experienced with AI is like when I first found out about it, first thing I did, bitch, I try and clone my voice because I'm like,
Yeah.
if I can just fucking pump out these songs with my voice, I'm okay. Because I
Yeah.
will just be open about it. I'll be shameless about it, and
Yeah.
people can do. Um, it didn't work as well. I think there's not enough like data on my voice. Like when I sent it, I don't know. It didn't sound enough like me. I'll try. I'll try that again soon.
I got a couple
But
programs you could try out.
okay, yes, okay, good. Let's do that after this. Um, but I feel like it's lowered the bar and it's made it more accessible because
Yeah,
I have ideas. I don't always have the budget to like fully collaborate with people.
that's
And it's
exactly it.
really nice to be like, I have an idea and want to hear what it sounds like. Um, you can take that. I did this with my new song as a concept and then share it with the producer and consider the
Mhm.
AI a demo and build off of that. Or you can
Yeah.
release it directly.
Yeah.
Um, Kara Cunningham, formerly Chris Crocker, has been pumping out these albums. They're so funny, similar to what Brenda is. It's like, it's not supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be fun and catchy.
Yeah.
And she's doing it shamelessly. And I feel like there is a space for it, but people are fucking, they're pressed about it for
Yeah,
sure. About it.
and the whole thing is like what is the norm of music production in the industry? It's like a conglomerate and somebody, huge to having all the power and the artists having very little power. I mean, like I'm by no means a Swiftie, but my heart goes out to what she had to go through and what she had to do and re-record her own music to make it her own. So are we really saying that like the baseline of artistry is for somebody to not own their own music and for to be able to fight for its rights? So I mean, at least this way, people could argue that it's a tool that's automating, but I mean, I'm getting in there. I'm fixing things. It's my concepts. I have very, very complicated prompts on there. I'm going to be totally honest about the fact that it's AI. Like, you're not going to have to go searching for it so that it doesn't take away from the artistry of like people who don't use AI. But at the same time, like, are we really saying that we're ruining something that is so holy? Because, like, right now, the system seems incredibly broken and selfish to me. So I think that it's just like this thing that every time something new comes along in the landscape, that we demonize it. I mean, the electric guitar probably did the same thing. The whole fight with Metallica and Napster, like that was a joke now. So like, we're always scared of new things taking away from the artists, and the music industry always adapts. So I don't think that it's going to take away from real artists. I think that it's crucial to be honest about what it is in respect to real artists, but otherwise I think it's just a new tool that we're going to have to adapt, and this always happens. This is cyclical.
Totally. I mean, remember when electronic music came out or like
Yeah.
auto-tune and people were like, that's not a real voice, that's not real music. How can you have a song with no instruments? And now it's like, do they even have instruments in studios anymore? Like probably Gaga, probably friggin' okay. I shouldn't say that. People obviously bring instruments to the studio, but it's been happening for so long.
Yeah.
The manufactured piece of it, the electronic piece of it, and if you think about the world's biggest artists like Taylor Swift, this is this is not what we should be comparing. Like that should not be the benchmark. I
No.
think people who are like into their musical career for decades, it's going to be disruptive, and I would be pissed off too if it's like, what the fuck? Like I used to get paid a lot of money to help people produce music. Now they can do it on their iPhone. I spent my life perfecting a craft. I understand the agitation, but it doesn't change the fact that it's here. And I think people who have had musical ideas and wanted to be able to participate but couldn't because maybe it's something they came to older in their life or
Yeah.
like past the point of like really perfecting your craft or whatever, it's going to make it more accessible. I feel like there, I keep thinking about greeting cards, and how something like Sanu is a great way to like go in and make a prompt for your best friend for their birthday that's like super silly, and they'll listen to it a few times and then sort
Sure.
of like disappears. And then there's people who are going to take it seriously, and they're going to like find a new way to create music that hasn't been done. And I do encourage people, if you're open to it, to play around with prompts, because
Yeah.
it's easy to say, write me a song about my snake living in Burnaby and I'm gay and I like Britney Spears. They'll do that. But if you want something that is specific and really clear to an idea, you have to do it over and over and over again.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I was just pulling up one of my prompts, like just to see, like, and you have to know stuff like high energy dance pop banger with four on the floor kick, bright side change synths, and pulsing saw leads driving a crowded club feel, punchy electronic drums, snappy claps, and thick sub bass lock into a relentless groove. You know, like stuff like that. You need to learn some of the jargon. You need to do your research. I mean, we all know that AI slop is a huge epidemic. Like it's terrible, but in order to not make it AI slop, you have to do your research still. And for
yeah.
people that are in the industry, it's like you need to adapt. That happens with different industries at different times. And right now, I think the statistic is like out of the entire world, people actually using it to code or even just to vibe code is like 2% of the world's
Oh
population.
yeah.
Like
Oh
you're
yeah.
still at the beginning of it and you can still get the leverage in order to use this to your advantage. So if you're going to hold on and be a traditionalist, like you're going to fade away. Like that's just a fact.
Well, you have to think about like the people who are like 10 or like
Yeah.
15, and
Yeah.
they're just starting to like build their creative taste or like musical taste. I think that the first of all, we can't be too precious about how we define art, because I think when it comes to AI, if people see something, hear something, and it causes an emotional reaction, I think that that's what art is. It stirs
I
the
agree.
human spirit. It does something to you, and I think that can be done with AI. And I think it's dystopian. I think it's weird. I think it's surreal.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
ultimately, people will gravitate to things that make them feel good or validate their not good feelings like anger and agitation. So
Yeah.
it is here. Yeah, I
It
agree.
is, and like it's easier to tap into that. That I mean, really, when we're coming down to it, if you take K-pop for an example, I mean, K-pop is one of the most like widely uh, digested genres in the industry, and it's literally a mathematical equation. Like it has been proven that it is just science. They did their research, they did their A/B testing, and they said this is going to be the format for every song. So I really don't see the difference between that and writing a song with AI. Like
Yeah.
there's very little difference. That's a very gray line. And if we're going to go that far in the actual music industry and not embrace AI music to a certain extent, then that's just hypocritical to me.
Also, what about all of the artists over like in history that have gone to court over what's it called, where you're copying someone's music, copyright infringement?
Yep.
How like Madonna and friggin' Gaga, when Gaga came out and they had that Born This Way and
Mhm.
whatever song it was by Gaga that they were
Yeah.
Material Girl or something,
No,
not
it
Material
was
Girl. Come on
uh,
girls, you believe in love,
express yourself,
express
right?
yourself.
Yeah.
So you have people creatively who are submersed in pop culture, being bombarded by these songs, by these movies, and then they
Mhm.
themselves as artists create something. Even without AI, bitch, you're gonna see references and ideas and pulled lyrics, sounds from things that you've heard.
Yeah.
So
And
even humans are
real
doing
artists do that. I know that AI is obviously trained on a data set, so they're trained on like a whole bunch of real artists and stuff like that. But what is the difference between using that and somebody who grows up with music like I did, who ingested all the music and is essentially as a human being trained off that data set?
yeah,
And not only that, but like let's think about when sampling came out. Like when sampling came out, people were quote unquote illegally until the justice system got involved directly using the music of previous artists, and AI music is not doing that. It's taking influences of that. So I see that as kind of less of a copyright infringement than sampling, which is still done like at, all the time, all of nothing's new, all of our music is reused, right?
Exactly.
So I really don't see the harm in training off of a data set in order to influence your music if you're just doing that with your brain as a human.
Yeah. Britney's like "Hit Me Baby One More Time" and "Oops, I Did It Again" are like the same song with different lyrics, and it's like,
Yeah,
and I people would come for her. I mean, pop has always been like under scrutiny, but again, I would encourage people to really think about what pop music has been for the last few
yeah,
decades and how slowly but surely we've been eliminating lots of jobs. Not that it's good. I'm a realist. I'm like, it's here, so stop complaining,
yeah,
adapt, be angry, move
yeah.
on. I was going to say something else about the AI music and Britney. Oh, I read this article that was really interesting where they said at some point somebody will do something with AI and art that we haven't experienced yet.
Hmm.
And we keep thinking about, oh, AIs are going to write movie scripts. AI is going to write albums. There is going to be something else that we don't know. Like we can't conceptualize. It's going to be some other medium. And when that happens, I think there'll be a shift in perspective consciousness where we can see it as the tool that it is. And we're still learning. And I am surprised, like I also work in tech as my day job, how many people don't use AI? Like it's such a big part of the
It's
conversation. My
crazy.
friends in Calgary, bitch, they don't even have Chat GPT on their phones.
I
Like
know.
there's so many people that aren't using it. So yeah, we're in the infancy.
I totally agree. I mean, I have 4 LLMs on my phone that I go between depending on what I want. Um,
Yeah.
you made a really good point before about not knowing, what was going to happen with tools. I mean, that's just a fact. We don't know what we don't know until we know it, and that's
Yeah.
just human existence in general. But as far as like, I mean, we have such a long way to go. Is AI going to write movie scripts? Well, right now it's terrible. Is AI going to write songs straight up without being AI slop? I don't know. I think it does a pretty good job, but there's still things like in Suno and stuff like that. There's those ghost harmonizations in the background that make it feel like it's vibrating, and all of this like extra input to get rid of in post production, which I've been having a really fun time trying to eliminate because it's so distracting. But then at the same time, like you think about like the emotional aspect, like I said before, it's really easy to be able to tap into the joy and to make a really fun dance song, but I don't know an AI music that's made me cry, so like there's such a big ways to go, and sometimes I think it can only, I mean, I might be being ignorant. Maybe it can go as far as it wants, but I mean, there's something about somebody writing music about heartbreak and about being sad that invokes some kind of different vibe and different kind of sonic thing that happens with your body, human to human, that I haven't seen anywhere even close. So we have such a long ways to go, and to be so fearful of it right now is just seems so hypocritical and so traditionalist.
Yeah. Are you watching The Comeback, the latest season of The Comeback?
I just started. Just
Okay,
started.
okay. So there's a scene. The whole thing about this season is that Valerie Cherish has been hired on an AI only script writing thing, and there's a
Yeah,
scene where the AI is pumping out these scripts, and like it's okay. Like they're doing the scenes, and some of it's working, and this joke just keeps not landing. And so she's talking to Pauly D, who comes back, and he's like, it's not that the joke isn't funny; it's that AI doesn't understand nuance and
it doesn't.
context
It
and what
doesn't.
a person is, like the body language and what they're looking like on their face. So
Yeah,
I think for a while it's going to be really obvious when something is just a prompt versus when something has intent behind it.
agreed.
And hopefully we can tell the difference. I think for the time being we can. And if at some point the AI fucking makes you cry, then I don't know.
Yeah, and honestly, like we're not going to know when it happens, if it happens, but that's up to the individual person who's making it
Yeah.
too. I mean, people are always going to use technology for nefarious purposes and for things that take away from other people, but for the most part, I mean, I have a delusional sense in humanity where I think the best of everybody. So I
Oh,
know it's really
girl.
hard right now in order to do it, but if I don't have that, I think I'll just go
Yeah.
crazy. So I
I
mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I've been realizing that I am kind of a nihilist, and I didn't know this about myself until like the
Sure.
last few years. But I have like nihilistic thoughts, but then I think I'm optimistic in the way that I act, in the way that I bring myself to the world. But
Sure.
yeah, man, life is hard. We got to do things that make us happy. The planet is dying. Our leaders are corrupt.
All of that.
Womp
all
womp.
of
Like
that.
let's listen to Brenda and Real Housewives of Area 52.
Let's stream
Yeah.
Brenda a couple times and forget about the world. Is that really
Anyway,
like the biggest thing we have to squash right now? Like, come on.
we've been talking for 20 minutes and haven't mentioned the O, so I'm sure
Let's
people
talk
are
about
getting
the
getting
yes.
irritated. They're like, what the fuck? So when I think about the O, you're definitely somebody who stands out in my mind. I mean, most clearly playing like mom and dad against you and Will getting drink tickets, like
Yeah.
coming in, like Will would give me five and I'd be like, Will didn't give me any, and then you would give me a few, and all night just bouncing around. Do you
One of my
remember that?
core memories for sure. Oh my god! I have to say though, like honestly, like we all know you guys were the club kids without being like, like I said, nefarious purposes. You guys didn't have any. Like it wasn't like you were stealing from anybody. It wasn't like you were making anybody feel bad. You guys were always such a I dare to say breath of fresh air because there was no
Oh
fresh air.
wow.
But you guys were always so, it was always kind of a funny thing. You guys would come in and play your bit. It almost felt like, but it was just you being you. And then it would be like, I don't have any drink tickets. And then I would, get on the thing and ask Will, and he'd be like, no, I already gave them to him. And then, you'd laugh and walk away. But you guys were always so fun to be around. And you guys brought such an atmosphere of joy. Like you couldn't see you on the dance floor without wanting to join it. There was
I
that nice thing about it.
It's so nice to hear that because I feel like it was so chaotic and you
It was
feel like such,
chaotic as hell. Yeah.
right? And like messy, but it's nice to hear that generally people were having a good time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I would get a hard time for being a mess and doing drugs and blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
I look back at that time in nightlife. It definitely did get dark after that.
Sure.
But I feel like it was. Is there a buzzing? Do you hear that? Is that aliens? Okay. They're here. They heard us.
Oh
It's
my
the
god.
AI.
Palladians have arrived.
Oh my
In
God.
Roberts Creek.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's nice to hear that that was the positive experience that you had because that's what I was feeling. But
Yeah.
like, take me back to your memory of the O. How did it come into your life? How did you get involved? What
Oh,
was?
that's actually a really funny story. So my ex Tim is from Australia, and so we were kind of back and forth between Canada and Australia for a long time. And after we had gotten married, after a couple of years, we ended up going to Australia for Christmas for to spend time with his family. And while I was there, I mean, we were supposed to go for 2 weeks, and I think Tim was getting ready to go. Hi, Tim Simpson, if you're listening to this, love you. He's such a great guy. But we were kind of getting ready to go back, and I had this thought in my head, like maybe I'm going to stay a bit longer. Like, how do you say that to your partner, kind of thing? So I just did, and ended up staying there for I don't know a month and a half or something like that. I'm such a different person now. But anyways, at the tail end of me being there, I actually got a message on, I believe it was Facebook, from Will, and he said, hey, we are looking for an assistant manager. I didn't know what had gone down. I don't want to say drama, but some stuff had gone down where the previous assistant manager had gotten let go. And so I said, yeah, let's talk about it. And so we had a quick like video interview, and he said, if you want the job, they seem to really like you. And so that's what kicked my butt to fly back to Canada, and had an interview, I think 2 days after I had landed back in Canada, and had started like 3 days after that or something like that. So, I mean, Will and I had known each other for a very, very, very long time. And he knew that I was, I don't want to say responsible. I was responsible then. I truly was. Like that wasn't a messy period in my life or anything like that. So it turned into something that I would have never thought it was, because the Odyssey was the first gay bar I ever went to. Like when I was 19, I walked into the Odyssey. I was with my friend Kate, I think, and we were driving on Davie, and she said, hey, do you want to go to a gay bar? It was like 11:30, and I had come out not that long before. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know, like just springing it on me. And I remember walking in there, and I believe it was New Year's, and I believe this is why it was happening. I don't think this happened all the time, but I walked through the front door, and of course, just taking in the lights, taking in the atmosphere, taking in the music, and everything that was like the sweaty Odyssey on a Friday night or whatever it was. And remember looking across to where the shower I learned was when there was no shower there, or maybe they were propped up on the stoop. But I remember seeing Joan, and she was standing there like this huge presence of a person that is even 5 feet above what they should be, and just be I had never been around a drag queen in my life. And Joan has an open bottle of bubbles, and there is a crowd of people under her with their mouths open, and she's pouring bubbles into their mouth. And I just remember being like, Kate, where are we right now? And like, little did I know, like 6 years later, 7 years later, something like that, that I would be managing the damn place. It was surreal, very surreal.
So Joan comes up in every conversation,
Of
still waiting for her to
course.
come on the damn show.
Of course.
I for some reason I'm surprised that you had just come out, but I
Yeah.
guess that was
Late
like
bloomer.
7 years before I met you then.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say the other thing is, like, I mean, I became very, very familiar with the Odyssey after that, because I was living on Seymour and Davie, so I was like literally I could roll to the Odyssey. And would meet my friends Corwin and Louie there and everything like that, like all the time, just on a whim. But that's also when Tim and I got married. Like, we wanted to have our after party, and all of us went in our tux and our nice things, and we walked
Oh
into the
my
Odyssey, and Dale was
God.
like, "Oh, did you guys get married?" And just like let us in for free and everything. So like, by the time I had gotten married, like 2 years after that, or something like that, 3 years, like I was familiar enough, let's just say, with the bouncers, that Dale was like, "Hi, honey, are you married?" Like, and just coming in. So it was just like, it was such a nice family atmosphere. I had no qualms about accepting that job. I knew it was going to be crazy. And like, I knew it was going to be crazy the first day I started there, and Dale walked in, as he did every single night at like whatever it was, 8 p.m., and said, "Good morning, everyone." That was the line every single time. And you knew that Dale had arrived when he wished you a good morning at 8 p.m. But yeah.
I can hear Dale's voice in your head. Hi, honey. I
No.
I remember when I was first getting like working my way into the O, and I would be drunk, and he was like, "I don't come to your work and give you a hard time, honey." Like, just
Yeah.
so sassy.
Yeah.
I wonder what it would be like to work there, because it was like it was a time in nightlife before, not before rules, but it was before, like, people had camera phones, but it was before we filmed everything.
Oh, for sure. It was
Like free
mostly like a
pouring.
digital camera that your friend had in her purse, kind of thing. Like, truly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Do you remember Vicky Tong, who
Oh
would
my
like
god,
take
yeah.
pictures of every?
Oh my god, yes. And it was so funny is some of the only pictures I have from so yeah, I entered Odyssey Man of the Year. Is that what it was called? For the poster thing, I remember
Oh
entering that, and
yeah.
Vicky, just like, some of the only pictures I have of me that night is from that camera. So yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just like, you would wake up the next day and there would be like a million pictures. And there's that joke now about millennials, how we would go out, take a million photos, not look at them, just
Nope.
upload them.
Mm-mm.
Maybe we looked good, maybe we looked bad, maybe we were doing drugs, and it was like, who cares? This is
Just
great.
plugged it in, and all of a sudden there was a Facebook photo album. I mean, honestly, if you go back, I should really, really weed through those, but if you go back, there's some very questionable stuff on there. And just as millennials, we're just like, that happened, like, that, just leave it. What's the embarrassment? That was literally probably close to 12, well, it was 20 years ago now,
Yeah.
like, I'm not going to go through and be like, this didn't happen and this didn't happen. I think the very fact that we photo dumped itself is just telling of the time and telling of our history. So, I mean, kind of editing that is editing our history. That's terrible.
I know that people are like, Facebook is dead and blah, blah, blah. And I've had a few friends who deleted it. I don't know why they would do that, because like my whole life since I was early 20s is
Yeah.
there. And I don't
Yeah.
have I mean, I have some physical pictures on my wall, but not really. That's
Yeah.
my whole
What are you
life.
do with all of those pictures, right? Like
Yeah.
it's, I would want those for myself if I ended up deleting my Facebook for some reason that is, unbeknownst to me right now. But and then what? And then where do they live? Like we go
Yeah.
through technology like water now, those things can so easily be eliminated. I know that I've had files just switching laptops or switching phones that have gone missing, and that would be devastating to me.
Yeah.
It was like that with Instagram for a little while too. I would always make an Instagram post like if something was happening, and Instagram kind of became the photo book of my life that I could kind of look through and be like, I was there, I was there, I was there. And
Ugh.
I still have that. It's not like I post to either of these things anymore, but just having that accessible, I think, is really important to remembering who I was, where I was, because I look through some of that and I'm like, who is that? Where was I? Like, I still have no idea. So like the amount of stuff that I've forgotten, I can't even imagine.
I can imagine when we're 50, 60, 70, and it's like, we're like, oh, that's so cringe. Like, I can't believe I'm on Facebook. At
Yeah,
some point, bitch, you're going to be really fucking glad that those memories are somewhere because you
that's
might
right.
not remember or whatever. So what year are we talking about when you were the manager?
What year am I talking about? Oh my god. So let's see, 2001, 2003, and then 7 years later. We're probably talking about 2010.
Okay.
2010 to
Yeah.
2000, somewhere between 2009 and 2011, 2011. And I was the manager there for the last year that it was open. I think I had made, yeah, I know, what a time to actually be the manager. I think I had made my exit maybe 3 weeks before the final day, only because we all knew it was coming to a close, and I got a job, and Will was like, that's fine, I'll just grind for 3 weeks kind of thing. But I was also at the very last night the Odyssey was open, which is just like, it's inexplicable. Like, you talk about that night and no words can describe that night. I remember being there with my ex at the time and like sitting there.
Tyler, we went downstairs, honey. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a night.
And I remember us being there and standing with Ray, I think, and we were like watching that slideshow that they had. And I remember watching the slideshow and seeing my face on that slideshow and just bursting into tears, and not even really at the moment. When you're in your early 20s, you don't really have a mind body connection with your emotions like you do when you're in your 40s. But at the time, I was like, why am I getting so emotional about this? And it was because I just realized, after being so encompassed in what was the Odyssey and working there, that I was just part of something that was way bigger and something
Yeah.
that was historical. And I think it all hit me all at once there. And I was just like, I was an inconsolable mess for a little bit, just seeing and feeling the honor of being on screen with all of these people who have made our history in Vancouver, and even just to be just a small part of that and just a drop in the puddle was it meant so much to me all of a sudden. And that was why it was such a mess. I didn't even realize it, and I think about that now. I look back on it and think about that I got to be part of the history, and not even as like a spotlight look at me thing, just as that is something that will never be replicated, and something that I will honor for the rest of my life. Truly.
Yes, yes, you hit it
Yeah.
on the head.
All of that, right?
Everybody
All of that.
brings up the last night. So I'm a big Courtney Love fan, and the same night as the O, Courtney Love was performing in Seattle, and my friend was like, "We have to go." We had never seen her live, and I'm like, "I can't fucking miss the last night of the O." And she was so like pressed about it and couldn't understand why the bar was more important. And again,
Yeah.
even though she was there at the time, could not understand the importance. And I think not that straight people can't have this experience of having a community and in nightlife at the same time,
It is
but there's
different though.
something about the history of a
Yeah.
place being started in like the 70s, 80s, 90s, when being gay was not as accepted as it is now.
Absolutely.
You hear people like Robin, who was on last time, talking about how they needed it. And when that ended, in a lot of ways, young queer people now don't need those spaces necessarily, especially
Yeah.
gay guys. We are further ahead than trans folks are,
Yes.
but we can go to a straight bar, generally speaking, not all the time. We can have a good time, but there was a time where you couldn't. And that's why the Odyssey, it means so much. And well, the reason why I do these episodes is like if we don't somehow capture them,
Yeah.
it will go away. And the last night was so, it's like it was so many things. It was like the drinking and like people were like ripping, and I don't mean the drinking, but like the way that it was like a free for all. It was just all flowing. There was no rules, honey. And it was like smoking, drugs. We were like ripping things off the wall. It was like when you see movies about gay people, there's a lot of gay men there in their prime when they're
Yeah.
happy and celebratory.
Yeah.
And it's so pure joy. That's what it was.
It was pure joy, and all of the destruction was not. It wasn't chaotic, rebellious destruction. It was like this thing is coming down that was built, and I get to be a part of this last thing and it coming down. And just speaking of the free for all, I will never forget me and Tim and our friend Mark MKW were like hanging out near the stairs to upstairs where the cooler was for the beer. And I just remember being like, I know where the cooler is. And I was like, why don't I just check if it's unlocked? And like, I went over there. There was no lock on the cooler. Ended up getting 3 Coronas, something you can't twist off. And I ended up at the end of the night with a boxer's fracture from trying to get the caps off of the beer. I was banging them against the counter, and my hand was so swollen by the end of the night. I went to the doctor. He was like, "You have a boxer's fracture. Did you punch somebody?" And I was like, "No, I didn't want to say anything." But yeah, it's just like, here's some free beers. I'll do better next time and get twist offs.
That I had the code for the upstairs. I would
Mhm.
go so one time, I don't know if I've told this story. Derek and I, the bar was closing. We didn't want it to be done, so we like crawled, like we were going
Oh,
up and
no, I
in.
was
It's
there that
like
night.
you were.
Yes, I was managing that night that you guys ended up in the little cubby hole thing. Oh, I remember being like, these guys have to get out. Did you guys stay there the night?
We were there for a long time, and yeah, we were. I don't know why we ended up leaving, but we were like, should we just sleep here? You guys must have come and gotten us, but we were like, there was like a rafter. Like
Yeah.
we kept going up, and like, yeah. Thinking back now, like a bar closing and us being in a cubbyhole, that was also like I had lost my keys probably up there, and Derek like scaled the building to get into our apartment. So dangerous without like on the outside of a building. Yeah.
Okay, you think that's bad? Listen to this. So speaking of people not leaving, so one of the funniest things that's ever happened in my life, let alone one of the funniest Odyssey stories, if not the funniest, is I was I was closing the bar, and as you do with the bar every single night, you have a couple things that you need to do the checklist for, like make sure that everything's swept, set the alarms, lock the doors, and all that. So I had done what I thought I needed to do, and my ex was living in Kitsilano at the time. So, and this is before Uber. So I got into a cab, went all the way to Kitsilano, got into his place. He kind of woke up. I crawled into bed, and then all of a sudden my phone started buzzing. And we're talking about like, it's 4:30 in the morning by this time. So I pick up the phone, and it's Will, and he's like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm in Kitsilano at Tyler's." "Why?" And he was like, "Because the alarms are going off at the Odyssey right now, and the police are on their way." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then there was like a silence, and I realized that like, bitch, he lived downtown, and I know it was my responsibility, but he wanted me to get back in a cab from Kitsilano, like teach me a lesson kind of thing. Like, absolutely fine, probably the right thing to do. I was pissed off at the time, but I get it. So I put my clothes back on. 4:30 in the morning, I get back into a cab, go all the way downtown, am in the alleyway. There's police absolutely everywhere. And I was like, "Hi, I'm the manager. I have the keys." And they were like, "Okay," thinking somebody had broken in, or I don't know, something like that. So I open the padlock, I take the lock off, and the minute I do, the doors burst open in an explosion, and Stevie falls out of the doors onto the sidewalk. And I'm like, "Oh my God, Stevie." And she was like, "I can't believe you trapped me in there." And we were like going back and forth. The police were like, "What the hell is going on?" Bitch had passed out on one of the toilets, and I had not done one of the things on my checklist, and that is check the bathroom stalls. Check the bathroom stalls. I did not do that. So we have Stevie still screaming and walking down the alleyway, and I'm yelling, Stevie, are you able to get home? And she was like, I'll be fine. And I look at all the police, and the police were like, okay, I guess we go. And I locked it back up. But I will never forget the terrifying explosion of those giant metal doors flinging open and having Stevie on the ground in front of me, basically crying.
Oh my God.
One of my core memories, if not the core memory.
Is insane. I feel like I don't know if I would be upset if I got locked in. It would depend if I had things to keep me going and if I was on my own.
Right.
But I guess it's like you lock it from the outside. Yeah, I guess so.
You lock it from the outside. You set the alarm as soon as there was motion detection. It went off. Like,
could she hear it? I guess the alarm in the Odyssey was like really, really loud.
Very loud, yeah. So she woke up I'm sure there's not motion detection in the toilet, but she must have come out of the stall, not heard a thing going on, came out of the bathroom, saw that it was empty, and as she's processing this, all of a sudden these giant alarms go off and she starts flipping out after a night of drinking. I mean, I think I would do the same too, but let me tell you, that was the first and fucking last time that I did not check the bathroom stalls before I left.
Wow, that is insane. I can't wait for her to hear this.
I can't wait for her to hear this either. God bless her soul. Hi, Stevie.
Wow. One thing that I am always curious about is what people remember about the music at the time, because if you think about walking into a club, whatever was popular at the time in terms of music sets the tone. It really tells you what was happening culturally in pop culture, what people were wearing, what we were like singing along to. So what do you remember about that time?
You know what I feel like the theme song was for me was bum 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 bum. No. Let me think about it. What is that? Ada something? Do you remember that song with the horns?
Okay.
It's
yes.
You know what I'm talking. Yeah, that is the song for some reason that becomes like the theme song in my mind, and I don't know why. But if you think about that genre at the time, it was kind of like a Ministry of Sound kind of vibe. And I mean, Drew and Mike always did great jobs of the music, and MKW was there quite often too. And he has such good taste in music. So it was definitely the popular stuff at the time and stuff that people wanted to dance to. But there was also stuff like that wasn't necessarily on the top 40 radio that became popular because it was at the Odyssey, you know? And I'm not saying it wasn't popular in other things, but we also had less avenues to discover new music. And the radio really was kind of the thing that led all of the music. So when something came up that wasn't on the radio that was so good, you know, Drew or Mike or whoever had no problem playing it. And from then it became kind of a little bit of a gay theme, and probably in other cities as well, but because they were exploring other music besides top 40, which was definitely there. But I mean, it was a really nice blend. Yeah.
There's such a good point about the radio. I also often think about like the music that influenced me that I'm obsessed with wasn't really a choice. It was like, that's what I saw.
Absolutely. It was put on you. Right? So it was a good thing it was good.
Was it though? Like if we had like
for its time.
I remember like when I think of the Odyssey, I think of like Kesha and like Scream and like Bad Romance.
Yes, absolutely. And there was that top 40 stuff, but then there was no problem. Like I said, there was that genre that was almost like British dance. That was those Ministry of Sound albums that had like, you know, things like Benny Benassi and stuff on it. Or like Duck Sauce, like Barbra Streisand, you know, like that kind of thing.
Barbra Streisand.
That weren't necessarily like, they were popular, but they weren't like the first 40 things you would hear on the radio. So I really appreciated that they did that. I mean, when it really comes down to it, it was popular pop music, but it was also correct for the atmosphere. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You could go there 7 days a week and probably hear some of the same songs, and you were still just so excited to be on the dance floor and to be at the Odyssey in front of everybody and with everybody and dancing, right? So
I have not had a dance floor experience like that since
never.
then. I think it's part of being young, like in your
Yeah.
20s, and you just feel so free. But I keep telling people I would go out more if I knew they were going to play my songs, not my songs, but like,
I'm just going to email them to them before, like,
yeah,
yeah, you got to hear
be
this
my,
Brenda song.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was just like we were so in the moment of the moment, so
Yeah,
it makes sense. The other thing I am curious what your perspective is.
sure.
I feel like nightlife, at least from the outside, I don't go out that much, has
Mhm.
turned really sex focused. There seems to be a lot more dark rooms and dance parties, but in the guise of sex parties, not like full sex parties, but a lot of younger queer people, I think because of prep maybe, have just really leaned into slut culture.
Interesting.
I don't remember that about nightlife back then. Like when
No.
I think about like
Mhm.
going to the Odyssey, maybe some people were hooking up in the bathroom, but it was very vanilla. And when I
Yeah,
talked to like Robin and them from like the generation before us or before, it was more cruisy because again, it was like the
yeah,
oppression. They didn't have as many places, and I feel like us were in that in between where
yeah.
we weren't oppressed, but we hadn't, I guess, gotten to the full liberation of like super post AIDS crisis, prep, pep, so many ways to keep us
Yeah, it was
protected.
pre-prep for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you remember about like hookup culture back then?
Yeah, no, I honestly, I don't remember it being like and again, it could have been, but also I didn't go to the, um, what is it? Is it the Black Eagle in
We didn't
Vancouver?
have the
No,
black.
that's
Oh,
Toronto. What,
pump
the
jack,
Pump
pump
Jack?
jack.
I didn't go to the Pump Jack then. Like I was young and I wasn't, I wasn't part of bear culture or leather culture, anything like that. So I'm sure that probably maybe existed for people that. But as far as the Odyssey is concerned, I don't know. I remember doing questionable things on the dance floor, but like you said, it was very,
Eh,
it was, yeah, it was very vanilla, right? Like it was like anybody would kind of do on a dance floor at the time, whether you're straight or gay.
yeah.
I can't really speak to too much about like club culture and dance culture now. I have no idea. But I can see it makes sense what you said about being, like post prep and things like that, that people can, and on it, honestly, kudos to them. Like I don't know whether we missed out or whether it just was what it was, because it was, it was also pre apps. And I feel like apps like Grinder and stuff like that, the hookup culture became faster and more accessible
Yeah.
and more like ingrained into your mind. So I think that for the most part, we were just there to have a good time.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really in the forefront, right?
I actually think too, now that you bring up Grinder, we were also in the early phases of that too. So we were
Very early
getting used
phases.
to like finding hookups in that way. And
Yeah.
again, the younger people now grew up with it. So they're going back to like sex in real time with people you don't know. But I
Yeah.
guess yeah, we were in the middle. So I never considered that. I'm realizing it in real time. I certainly was not thinking about it. I just wanted to be popular.
Mm-mm.
I wanted to be famous. I didn't care about guys at all. At all. My boyfriends, my friends at the time really wanted boyfriends. And it
Right.
wasn't in my mind. Like my priorities were so not that.
I mean, I was married, like I was married by the time I was 22. Like I was a young child bride anyways. And honestly, like for the most part, like on the time period that we're talking about, I was working. And there's some things had happened with the previous assistant manager that I was privy to, and I didn't want to risk my job. I really liked my job. I appreciated where I was. I liked the people that I was discovering and people that I was socializing with. And it was more of like that cultural like realization that I was a little bit part of something bigger, or, talking with Paul and Jay and Stevie and all of those people after the bar, all of the people who were allowed onto, the patio after hours, and realizing that there was so much to like take in from that. And on top of it, like twice a night, I was giving change to the bartenders. I was giving them roll of quarters. I was like, kicking people out. It wasn't like I was pretty serious about my job.
Good point. Yes, you were. And
I
I do
was.
remember that. Like you guys had to keep it together because as
Oh
loose as it
yeah.
was, if you guys didn't dear God, I don't know where that.
I
Um,
honestly, it was an exercise in patience for sometimes. I can absolutely verify that, whether it was you guys or whether it was really anybody. Like, it is an exercise in patience to be part of a nightclub. And I remember even being at the back door with the bouncer, the door guy. I forget his name right now, actually.
at the
Um,
back door.
yeah, short guy.
Oh, put a pin in it. We'll find out.
Yeah. So I remember being with him, and during like a less than busy time, him being like, well, what are you going to do if you ever have to kick somebody out? And I was like, what do you mean, like physically? Like, I had never, gone into like martial arts or like anything like that, and he had. And so he was like, well, do you want to learn a couple things? And I was like, yeah, okay. So over the course of like 3 nights, we learned, like, he said, if somebody pushes you with this hand, this is what you do, and then it goes behind their arm, and just like all of these moves and stuff like that. And I thought, I'm never going to have to use these. And then, not even joking, 2 weeks later, I had this guy that was completely incoherent, and he started getting like, I came up to him and I was like, hey buddy, you got to go. Because there is one thing that the Odyssey did not put up with, and that was like, if people are falling down, they have to go. Like, it will not, it truly is. And I don't remember anything except like Will being like, okay, that guy's got to go, that guy's got to go, just to keep the atmosphere positive, I guess, because people like that aren't in their right mind. They're going to react, and this guy did react. And he went to push me, and all of a sudden, just out of instinct, after like 3 days of being at the back, all of a sudden I had him in like a head thing, and his arms were behind his head. And I remember, you always lean back so that they're on their tippy toes, so that they don't have like a steady ground. And I remember going through the back patio and kicking him out the back entrance, and people that I knew looking and being like, what the hell is going on with Nick right now? Like, I had even surprised myself, and they were like, okay, I guess don't mess with him. And I was like, it's fine, everybody keep playing, we're good.
I never remember seeing things like that. It was
Yeah,
such a
it happens so few and far between, honestly. Like, the energy and the atmosphere was so positive that it didn't really lend itself to that. It wasn't like a degenerate place in the way that would get in the way of anybody else's fun. It was degenerate for the sake of being fun, and if you cross the line, you got to go. Like, that's just a fact.
What do you remember about straight girls coming?
um I need to be PC. I remember them trying to get in the back door, and that not happening.
Were they not allowed in the back door?
Well, I mean, looking back on it, it was a pretty questionable kind of policy, but it was men only in the back door.
Right. It was.
It was. And looking back on that, I'm like, that would not fly now.
But listen. This is a place that was made for gay men when we had nowhere else to go. It's
Yeah.
You can't look at it through the lens of 2026, because
You can't.
it wasn't, I mean, I guess it was like sexist in practicality. But it was not,
yes.
we all of our best friends were women. And they did come in when
Everyone.
they were with us, I am sure
Yes.
of it.
They just had to go through the front door. And the reason was, and again, I'm not defending it, or I'm not pro it. I'm going to be Switzerland on this, just for the sake of being kind of a little bit, neutral. But, and I do have my opinions about it, I just won't share. But, you could go through the front door, and we constantly had them talking to each other at the front and the back, just to make sure that 3 bachelorette parties weren't showing up and taking over the population of the bar, and then having regulars or people that were part of the community, or all of at one of the doors, not able to come in. So it was like, I'm letting this group in, and then I won't let a whole bunch of people in. And they were kind of categorizing who they were letting in, just to make sure that we were being fair to our community. Because we all know, I mean, celebrities is a great example. We all know that clubs can be, I don't want to say taken over in a negative sense, because everybody deserves to have space. But when that space is reserved for safety concerns and somewhere that you want to feel belong, as that's something that certain groups of people can't relate to. And so they're not doing it maliciously, but making sure that there's a great balance so that our community can really indulge in a place that they can call their own, I think was especially a fair thing at the time.
Yeah. I don't think people realize what it was like to have people come to the gay bar as a novelty and sort
Mhm.
of see the guys in their briefs, like the go-go dancers, the
Especially on a Thursday,
super
right?
totally, and the twinks, and like just like the stereotypical things that they think about when they see a gay bar,
Yeah.
and coming and being like, oh my God, I love it. And it's,
Yeah.
they think they're there to add acceptance, or it's like we're cool with it. But yes, it was just a little like them coming to the zoo.
It was
And
like you honestly, you started to feel a little bit like an animal behind the cage,
yeah,
like for entertainment purposes. And like I said, everybody deserves to have space. It's not their fault they don't know the history right away. I'm trying to be careful with my words,
yeah,
but knowing where that thing is coming from, and it comes down to experience and age group as well, because I mean the age group we're talking about is not necessarily 40-year-old people. It was mostly 20-year-old, like a group of
yeah.
20-year-old women that were coming in and being like, I love every gay person. And it's like, okay, well, that in itself is is a
I
little bit of a
love
problem.
gays.
I love gay. And it's like, which part of
Yeah,
it? But I understand why it was done, and it wouldn't fly now, and it doesn't need to fly now as much. The landscape has changed. People don't, I'm not going to say everybody, but in general, I think the sheer mass of people that need safe spaces like that is less and less. And this generation is really a little bit more incorporated with sexuality and things like that. And everybody is still in danger in certain atmospheres, especially trans people of color, but I think that it wouldn't have to fly right now. There's not as much of a need for it. And then it was. So I'm understanding why
yeah.
it was like that.
We have more context now. Like the rise of social media has made it easier to understand why things are the
Yes.
way they are.
Yes.
And like, yeah, I mean, celebrities, you're right. It is a good example back then of what was possible if you didn't have some boundaries. And now you have like Charlie XCX, who like
Yeah.
is like, I was at a gay bar doing coke in the bathroom, and then Sky was getting railed, and she knows what gay culture is.
Yeah.
So when she goes to the bar, a gay bar, she's like, she's stepping into our world, and
Yeah.
she's meeting us where we are. It's not like popcorn, but
Yeah.
without social media, I think, in the visibility and the converse, I mean, just social consciousness has changed. Like like the whole time I was in, like during my heyday, everybody on a poster was like a white twink or like a white muscle. That was just
1000%.
the
Yes.
whole world, I felt, was catered to me. Like me
Yes.
personally, a blonde, young twink. It All the pop stars looked like me,
Yeah.
not like, but like I saw myself represented everywhere.
Yes.
I can
Absolutely.
imagine what it would have been like to be like, not that.
Not
And
that.
yeah,
Anything not that. And that was in every aspect of culture. That wasn't just like the gay bars. It was just like it was a thing of the time. Speaking of pop stars, remember when Gaga showed up?
do I
to the
remember when Gaga
to the
showed up?
Odyssey?
Honey, God, yes, I do. So Drew came on. We talked about this and how it was like a Wednesday night. It was not
Yeah,
expected. There
that's
was not a
right.
lot of people in the bar.
No, I
Yeah,
remember I got there. Like I said, I was living on Seymour and Davie. I was there in a heartbeat because she had just come out with Just Dance.
yeah. It
Like
was like Just Dance, Poker Face. She was on the rise. She was
yeah,
on the rise.
yeah. And she was at, I think she played Richards on Richards, if I'm not
She was, I
mistaken.
think it was Commodore. She had just done Richards on Richards, and then Commodore like within the
Oh,
year.
okay. So I remember going to Richards on Richards and seeing her, and there was like a spot
Ah,
of people there, and it was just so incredible. Like
yeah.
just and then shortly afterwards, somebody was like, "Gaga is at the Odyssey," and it didn't have the weight that it does now. I was like, "Oh, that girl I keep seeing on
Yeah,
TV."
totally, totally. Yeah, yeah.
She was so kind and so nice to everybody, and she was a great example of understanding even back then, understanding where she was and why she was there and what was going on. And sure, she was doing it for self promotion, but she was also very respectful of like the space and the people and everything. Really,
She was, yeah. I mean, from day one, she was all about the gays.
yes,
I know people were like, Madonna was first, but I mean, whatever. I didn't grow up with Madonna in the same way we grew up with Gaga, but yeah, I do remember that she was very approachable. She was like her. It was the lavender wig, the teacup
that's
era.
right.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
teacup era. Yeah, just thinking about that now, and just thinking of being in the vicinity, like I was like three short people away from. I didn't actually talk to her. I didn't converse with her, but just being like, oh, the wig is right there. I could reach out and touch it. Like that's pretty cool. And actually, a wig, and just kind of like testament to what the Odyssey was. I mean, she didn't go to any other bar. It was the Odyssey that she went to, and there's a reason, and whether it was conscious or not, and whether it was vibes from the universe, like it's not a coincidence that it was the Odyssey. That's what I'll say.
No, you wouldn't be able to do that now. That's for sure with all
No,
the
God,
movies and
no.
stuff.
Oh,
Before we wrap up, I want to hear about
yeah.
Sigourney Beaver coming back, honey.
Oh my God.
Tell me about this. What's
Oh,
happening?
so it was kind of, it was forced on me, and it was an accident, but I'm actually really enjoying myself. So I live on the Sunshine Coast in BC here, and when I moved away 10 years ago, there was no gay scene. There was no. Well, this is a small place. It's beautiful, but it's small. When I came back home, there was a drag troupe, and it was incredible, Pine and Sandy, and they ended up kind of carving out this niche in the Sunshine Coast that I didn't know the Sunshine Coast was ready for. And I mean, it's testament to a small town that it's mostly drag kings, because there's still kind of a little bit of a thing about it. So I'm one of the only drag queens. Um, I'm like one of two, maybe. But I had performed with them once. We've done this event before that we did last year that we're actually doing the last Saturday in May again. It's called Dirtbag Drag, and it is a trashy good times. And basically, we have a punk rock band that
Is it
will.
Bloody Betty?
No, no, no,
Okay,
no,
okay.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
Our punk rock band is our friends SFH, and they play the music, and then we lip sync to a live band, and it's all punk versions of the
Oh my
songs.
gosh. Oh
So
my
I'll be
gosh.
doing
So
Sports
cool.
Car by Tate McRae punk version, which is actually really good. But we just started rehearsals because it does take some rehearsing to do it.
That is a really cool concept. It's not easy to
Yeah.
stand out with everybody having like a drag brunch and stuff now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. We had never seen it before. My friend Faye, who has a company called Coastal Hosts, when I came back, they were doing like bingo nights, and they were doing name that tune, and just a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't have on the coast before. And there was actually things for people our age to do. So now every Pride, Sigourney helps host the bingo. We're doing Dirtbag Drag coming up, and the first time Dirtbag Drag came around, my friend Kurt was like, "So we're." That's really funny. I didn't even put the connection, but I did do a whole song the first time. It was the first track from the album. What's it called?
Celebrity Skin.
No, Violet.
Oh, that
Yeah,
album.
that album.
Violet.
Violet by Hole. And he was like, "So this is the song we have prepared. Do you want to do it?" And all that was going through my brain is like, this is my hometown, and for me to get into drag, like, could be either absolutely disastrous for my psyche, or it could be full on therapy, and it ended up being the latter. And it was so well received, that I've done a couple of shows since then. And I mean, I'm by no means a professional drag queen, but Sigourney Beaver definitely has a style, and
I
she.
need to see. Send me
Yeah, yeah, I'll
pictures.
send some pictures. I guess I didn't realize I was such a theater nerd growing up. I didn't realize how much I missed performing. Do I like doing drag? It's a pain in the ass as far as I'm concerned, but I love being up in front of everybody, and I love being able to see the joy on people's face, especially in the small town that I grew up in that didn't have a gay scene or even say the word gay. And now to be up there helping out that scene, therapeutic at best. Yeah.
Well, congratulations for the
Thank
big
you. Thank
return,
you.
honey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Evan and I were considering Sunshine Coast. We live on Burnaby Mountain now, but I think we'll
Yeah.
end up there at some point.
It's
So I'll have
beautiful.
to
And
visit it.
there's a whole bunch more going on to actually do than when I was a kid or even 10 years ago when I moved to the States. And we can thank, Coastal Host for that. And just these people that found a niche and they were gay and they wanted to be gay in public, and it kind of worked out. So good on
And
pun
it's
intended.
all Sigourney Beaver, born at the Odyssey. The Odyssey spirit lives on.
That's right. I did
Um,
Dog Days Are Over by
I remember that was the first time I heard Florence and the Machine. I was like, "Who
I
is this? This is
remember you
such a
saying that to
weird
me.
song."
Yeah, I remember walking up to you and Tommy were sitting on the pole, like where the pole was, the stripper pole. And you guys were sitting there. I remember walking up to you guys and I remember Tommy going, "Where did your penis go?" And then I remember afterwards coming off the stage and you being like, "What was that song?" And I was like, "It's Florence and the Machine." Yeah, I do remember that.
The dawn of Florence and the Machine. So just remember, people at some point, yeah, they were a brand new hot
They
band.
were a hot band with a hot track. Yeah.
Thank you for coming, Nick. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Peter.
you
It's been
being
really
here.
fun. Yeah.
You're gonna like this episode, and I'll have to come to the Sunshine Coast to see you do drag.
Please do. If not this time, then I'll keep you in the loop.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.